All right, welcome in. It is another new project here in the shop. Just want to take you through what's going on. And in this episode, I'm just going to basically go over the plan for this bike and then we're going to get to work. So let's have a look at the bike. So what we've got here is a CX500. It's my first time building one of these completely. The customer's brought 2 bins of stuff here. He's got some original pieces. So the tank, seat, box of parts he took off, and then below that is a box of goodies that he wants me to put on the bike. So it's going to be a combination of that. There's no way I'm using this stuff. It's just horrendous, the inside of this tank. Rusty. And I don't really want to spend time on an ugly tank like that. So the rear end here, I just had a hoop that I had lying around to see if things would fit. My plan is to chop the entire back end off this bike and get something that sits a little more straight. We're going to do a Brat seat on it. Tires, he says, are new, so we're going to stick with those. The comp stars we're going to turn those into a nice glossy black, so I'll powder coat those as well as the frame when it's all done. I had this tank. I think I'm going to use this one. It's going to save me a lot of effort. The customer tank is filled with rust. And this has nice knee indents. So this is off of a Triumph Thruxton, which you probably already recognize. But the curves and everything really suit the bike. It's curves in, ends right behind that cylinder, which is going to give good placement for your knees. I've got the base of my hoop set up here with a 2-inch seat. It puts the bike right at stock ride height. And I've just got this broomstick in here for now, just holding up the shock, because I'm trying to figure if I'm going to reuse these shocks. It looks like I probably need a couple inches in height adjustment, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to rebuild this lower part of the subframe anyway. So right now I'm just working out some of the bends that I want to do out of a piece of welding rod. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to lop this back part off here. I like clean lines, so I'll open that up and I'll put kind of my tubing just to fit maybe around this position. So bend here, straight line, bends up, gives me a nice cope and good support for the passenger in the back of this bike. So yeah, if that kind of just curves into that position, that actually gives me a good area here for triangulation to mount the top shock mount, keeping the stock wood in place, stock geometry of the swing arm. So I think that'll work out quite well. With a nice line that kind of follows the tire. So that's the plan. I'm going to take this now, transfer it to my 3/4 inch tubing. The top is 1 inch. I'm going to do 3/4 in the bottom, I believe. That's what I'm going to continue along with and see if I can get this fully supported under its own weight. some mounts for these shocks. So what I did was I chucked up a bar stock in the lathe, tapped it 8mm, and then on the back I've coped it. So what will happen is this will slide in the shock, and then the cope will match the tubing, and then I'll create actually a washer on there and an 8mm bolt in the end to hold it in position. So that'll give me my top mount. I'll do that on both sides. I started to make a electronics tray. So that's going to go there, and then on the back, so I only need a certain amount of area here to keep underneath the flat seat for the regular rectifier, my Moto Gadget box, and some other wiring. And then I've created a bent piece here that'll come in and tie into that. So that gives me a little bit of extra room at the back for smaller electronics, but it keeps that nice look past that shock tower of the clean bar at the back of the bike. Making these rear set mounts. And what I've done is I've paired up, made two actually, put them together, drilled the holes as a pair, and this is the way they're going to mount. So kind of like the stock, they use a top bolt and then they use kind of a slug. So if you look at the stock rear sets, there's a top bolt and a slug, kind of goes in that hole. See how far forward those are. We're going to do pretty much the opposite. So this will mount here. I'm gonna machine an aluminum slug that goes in there that'll give me a threaded hole in the center. So these will actually be removable. So they'll mount to the frame with the slug and be removable for the rear set. So that gives me the position almost straight up and down here. So we're probably gaining about 3-4 inches in terms of leg room. It's just gonna be a better fit, I think. And then I'll have to create all new linkages for this crazy brake arm and the gear shift on the other side. And now what I'm doing is I'm making a positioner here. Because of the way that the CX shifts, it's up and down off the back of the motor. So I've got to make a pivot point. So when the rear sets connect, I'm going to do a linkage that goes from there with another linkage pointing down. So you'll see how that all comes together. I'm not taking credit for this. I saw this done by Purpose Built Moto. So those are the guys that came up with this idea. I'm just capitalizing on what they've already accomplished. Got the rear wheel off, removing the swing arm. I'm gonna have to just show you how that goes back together when the time comes. I didn't film it. Basically, there is a threaded insert on this side. You have to decouple the U-joint at the engine, and then you can finagle the swing arm out. So that's really the long and short of it. Check your user manual if you're concerned about it, but as I said, I'll film me putting everything back together when it's all nice and clean. What I'm going to do now is attempt to drop the motor. Having never done this one before, looking at the brackets on basically the backbone here that are attached to the motor, I think the easiest plan is to disassemble these bolts here on the top of the motor, or sorry, on the top of the frame on both sides. Then what you've got is just a bolt at the back and lower that I think I can just pull out and lower it down on a jack. So at least that's pretty cool. There's not a lot of finagling to get it into a frame like CBs and that sort of thing. So hopefully this drops straight out, and I'm just going to continue along here. You can watch the process and then put in the comments how you would have done it. All right, thanks for watching along so far. That's going to do it for this episode. Next episode, I'll get into the fabrication, finishing up my welding on this spike, figuring out where I'm going to mount all the electronics after I weld in the seat pan area. With the frame on the bench, I'll be able to set the tank on, figure out my mounts. I'm not going to use the stock mounts. Figure out all the rest of the back end that I need to take care of before I can go to powder coat. Front end is just coming apart. I'll be redoing seals and stuff in it. Wheels are getting taken apart. I think I could probably do this in 3 episodes. Final episode will be reassembly. So yeah, so next episode will be fabrication, final reassembly. So stick around for that. Hopefully a few weeks at a time I can keep these videos coming out. So anyway, thanks for sticking around, and hit the like, subscribe, all those fun, cool things. Share with your friends, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.